Janelle Hale stood in the center of the event hall, staring at the decorations she had spent weeks putting together. She was in her mid-30s now, finally stable, finally successful, and she wanted this night to be perfect. She had chosen every flower, every light, every color with care. The caterer was waiting near the back, the food laid out beautifully. Each chair had a small card with the name of a family member printed in gold. This was supposed to be her moment, her way of showing her family that she wasn't the unstable one anymore. But the hall was silent. Her phone kept lighting up with the same thing over and over. Delivered. Not seen. Not replying. Just delivered. She checked the time again. It had been hours. Her excitement had slowly turned into confusion, then embarrassment, then a heavy sadness she tried to push down. She kept trying to tell herself there had to be a reason. Maybe they were stuck in traffic. Maybe they were running late. Maybe someone would walk through the door any minute. But no one came. The candles burned low. The ice in the drinks melted. The food sat untouched, growing cold. The hall that once looked warm and inviting now felt too big, too bright, too empty. Janelle finally sank into one of the chairs, the one with her name on it. She clasped her hands tightly in her lap, trying not to let the tears spill. Tonight was supposed to be her comeback, her chance to show her family she had rebuilt herself. Instead, it felt like they had abandoned her all over again. Midnight hit. The music she had chosen as a soft background playlist kept playing to an empty room. She turned it off because the silence hurt less. Just as she wiped her eyes, her phone buzzed. Her heart jumped. Maybe finally an apology. Maybe an explanation. She opened the message. Janelle, we need to see you tomorrow. It's urgent. No mention of the party. No sorry we missed it. Nothing. She stared at the message for a long time. After ignoring her all night, now they wanted something from her? A sinking feeling settled in her chest. She didn't know the details yet, but she could already sense it. The same family who didn't show up suddenly needed her help. And by the next morning, she would learn the truth. They wanted $90,000 from her. Janelle grew up as the emotionally sensitive middle child in a family that believed showing feelings was a sign of weakness. Whenever she cried or asked for comfort, she was told to toughen up. Her mother, Margaret, cared more about looking perfect in front of others than understanding her children. Her father, David, avoided conflict so much that he rarely spoke up for anyone. Her older brother, Andre, liked being in control and always acted like he knew what was best for everyone. And her younger sister, Kira, was kind but easily influenced, especially by their mother and Andre. Because of this, Janelle learned early that her emotions were a problem. When she tried to express herself, the family acted like she was overreacting or making things difficult. Over time, she started to believe them. She thought something was wrong with her because she felt deeply and cared too much. As an adult, her life wasn't easy. She went through a painful divorce that left her heartbroken and doubting herself. Then she lost her job, which pushed her into a period of depression. Instead of supporting her, her family mocked her. They called her dramatic, weak, and messy. They said her suffering was her own fault. These words stuck with her, leaving wounds she carried for years. But Janelle didn't stay down forever. Slowly, she began to rebuild her life. She used her natural creativity and attention to detail to start a small events consulting business. At first, it was difficult. She had no support, no guidance, and very little money. But she worked hard. She kept learning, kept improving, and soon her business started to grow. Clients appreciated her warmth, her care, and her ability to turn simple gatherings into beautiful experiences. For the first time in a long time, she felt proud of herself. She began earning enough to stand on her own feet again. She gained confidence and stability, things she had always wanted. Still deep inside, something felt incomplete. No matter how successful she became, a part of her longed for her family's approval. She wished her mother would say she was proud. She wished her father would defend her. She wished Andre would stop treating her like a burden. She wished Kira would choose her, just once, over trying to please the others. The party she planned was meant to be more than just an event. It was her way of showing her family that she had grown, healed, and built something meaningful. It was her attempt to bring everyone together again, to prove she wasn't the broken one they always saw her as. For Janelle, the night mattered because it represented hope, hoped that her family would finally see her, appreciate her, and accept her for who she had become. But deep down, she feared one thing most, that even her success wouldn't be enough to make them stay. The family arrived at Janelle's house the next morning, all smiles and cheerful greetings. Their sudden friendliness felt strange after the cold silence of the previous night. Andre was the first to speak. "Janelle," he said, "you're doing really well now, and we need your help." Janelle raised her eyebrows, surprised. "Help? What kind of help?" she asked cautiously. Margaret stepped forward, her voice dramatic. "It's urgent. There's a serious problem with the house. If we don't act fast, we could lose everything." They painted a story of a financial emergency that supposedly threatened the family home. Janelle listened, stunned, as they explained the situation. Then came the request, $90,000. Janelle blinked. "Wait, why didn't you come to the party last night? I spent months preparing it for all of us." Her words were met with excuses. Andre shrugged. "We thought it was cancelled." Margaret added quickly. "And we never got the time. You should have reminded us." Kira looked down, fidgeting, saying nothing. Janelle felt a knot form in her stomach. Something didn't add up. The story sounded rehearsed, too perfect, too neat. Their smiles and sweet words felt like a mask. "You expect me to just give you $90,000? She asked, her voice steady but sharp. Andre leaned a little closer, trying to soften his tone. "We wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious, Janelle. We really need you this time." Margaret reached out as if to touch her arm. "We're your family. We're just asking for your help." Janelle could see the subtle pressure in their eyes, the way they wrapped guilt and fake warmth around their demand. They made it sound like helping them was her duty, like saying no would make her the selfish one. But inside, she knew something was off. The excitement she had felt planning the party and reaching out to them was replaced by doubt and suspicion. "I'll need to think about it," she said finally, stepping back slightly. Andre's smile faltered for just a second. Margaret's hand froze in the air, and Kira's eyes dropped even lower. The tension hung in the room, heavy and quiet. Janelle understood one thing clearly. This wasn't about a family emergency. They were asking for money, wrapped in fake smiles and dramatic stories, and it was up to her to see through it, or get pulled into their trap. Andre and Margaret started calling Janelle every day. At first, the calls seemed polite, almost casual, but soon they became constant, pressuring her to give the money. They even involved other relatives, telling them that Janelle was being selfish and refusing to help the family in a time of crisis. Posts, messages, and subtle comments came from all sides, making her feel cornered. Janelle felt her old wounds reopening. She remembered the years her family had ignored her feelings, mocked her struggles, and treated her like she was weak. Now it seemed like history was repeating itself. Every call and message made her doubt herself, question if she had been wrong to expect support or fairness from them. Anxiety crept in. She started losing sleep, waking up in the middle of the night with a racing mind. Her confidence wavered, and a heavy sadness settled over her. But Janelle didn't give in. She decided to find out the truth. Quietly, she began checking bank statements, asking questions, and observing the family's behavior. Slowly, pieces of the story came together. There was no financial emergency at the family home. Andre had lost money in a risky investment, and Margaret and David were covering for him to protect his image. The drama and pressure they had put on her were built on lies. Armed with this knowledge, Janelle faced her parents. "Why are you lying to me?" she asked one evening, her voice trembling. Margaret's face hardened. "You're just holding grudges," she said sharply. "You can't see the bigger picture because of your own feelings." Her father, David, stayed quiet at first, but then he finally admitted, "I knew what was going on, Janelle. But I didn't say anything. I thought it would be easier if you just handled it." Janelle felt a mix of anger and disappointment. For years, she had wanted her father to protect her, to stand up for her, and now she realized he had chosen silence instead. Even Kira, her younger sister, got involved, but differently. One afternoon, Kira pulled Janelle aside. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't have gone along with everything. I'm tired of all the lies and pressure too." Her voice cracked. Janelle felt a small spark of comfort in Kira's words, but the damage ran deep. The constant guilt trips, the lies, and the emotional manipulation left her exhausted. She had anxiety attacks, sleepless nights, and moments when she felt like she might break under the weight of it all. The family she had once longed to connect with now seemed like the source of her deepest pain. Still, Janelle refused to give them the money. Every time they called or sent messages, she held her ground. The tension inside her grew, but so did her determination. She knew the next steps mattered. She couldn't let her family's deception control her life anymore. Through all this, Janelle realized something important. Love from her family didn't have to hurt this much. Their manipulation and lies only reminded her that she had to protect herself first, even if it meant standing alone against them. Janelle invited her family to her house for a final discussion. She stayed calm, but inside she was ready to face them. When they arrived, Andre and Margaret smiled, thinking she had finally agreed to give them the $90,000. Kira followed quietly, nervous and unsure. Instead of handing over the money, Janelle sat them down and placed a folder on the table. Inside were documents, screenshots, and messages that clearly showed their lies. She took a deep breath. "I know everything," she said. She revealed the truth. On the night of her party, while she was sitting alone waiting for them, the family had been at home, celebrating Andre's so-called business opportunity over dinner. They had deliberately ignored her event. Andre's face went red. He leaned forward, trying to intimidate her. "You have no idea what you're talking about," he snapped. Margaret's voice grew sharp. "You're overreacting. You're making this about yourself again. Always the victim." Kira broke down, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Janelle," she cried. "I didn't want to, but I felt like I had to go along with everyone. I was scared." Janelle looked at her younger sister, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. She had hoped Kira would see the truth sooner or later. Then she turned back to Andre and Margaret, her voice steady and strong. "I'm done being the family sacrifice," she said firmly. "I will not give you any money, and I will not let you manipulate me anymore." The room fell silent. Andre clenched his fists, Margaret's face twisted in anger, and Kira wiped her tears, shaking her head. For the first time, Janelle saw the family clearly, not as people she needed to please, but as they really were. Their lies, their manipulations, and their selfishness were laid bare. And she realized she no longer had to carry the burden they had placed on her for years. By refusing their request, she took back control. The family fractured under the weight of their own actions. The power they tried to use against her had shifted completely. And for the first time, Janelle felt truly free. Janelle decided to cut ties with her family for a while. She needed space to heal from all the lies, pressure, and betrayal. She started therapy, talking through her feelings and learning how to set boundaries. Slowly, she began to build healthier relationships outside her family, with friends and colleagues who respected and supported her. Her business grew stronger than ever. With her mind clearer and her emotions steadier, she was able to focus on her work and expand her events consulting company. Success no longer felt empty, because she was gaining emotional stability along with it. Kira, her younger sister, reached out carefully. She apologized sincerely for going along with the family's lies and for not standing up for Janelle before. Over time, they rebuilt a real connection, one based on honesty and trust, not pressure or fear. Andre, on the other hand, faced the consequences of his own actions. His risky investments caused financial losses, and his attempts to manipulate others left him emotionally isolated. He could no longer rely on controlling or scaring people to get what he wanted. Through all of this, Janelle learned an important truth: family love should feel safe, not draining. She realized she didn't have to stay tied to people who hurt her repeatedly. By choosing herself, she found freedom, confidence, and peace. Janelle felt proud of how far she had come. She no longer measured her worth by her family's approval. She had built a life where she was valued, respected, and loved for who she truly was. And for the first time in a long time, she felt safe in her own life, knowing she could protect her heart while still opening it to people who truly cared. Months later, Janelle walked into the same event hall where she had once sat alone, heartbroken and ignored. But this time the room was filled with women, all eager to listen, learn, and share their stories. She was hosting an empowerment seminar for women who were rebuilding their lives, just like she had. Standing in the middle of the hall, she looked around at the decorations, the chairs, and the warm atmosphere she had created. The space that once held so much pain now felt full of hope, strength, and possibility. She no longer felt abandoned or small. Janelle thought quietly to herself, I spent years begging people to choose me. I didn't know I could choose myself. For the first time, she felt free. She had taken back her life, her power, and her happiness. The past could no longer hurt her. She had chosen herself, and that was enough. Hey friends, thanks for watching all the way through. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.